Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. I'm out here in Pickens, South Carolina, up alone on Glass Mountain. This is the town where my sister and her family lives. And I thought I'd come up here to talk a little bit about Spirit Island. You see, for the past, 2 years of my board gaming career, have been told time and time again I need to check out Spirit Island, right? It is a immaculate solo game. It is a game that fans are ravenous about. It has had multiple successful Kickstarters, tons of expansions, and it's one of those games that just, as far as a litmus test goes for people who are in this space or want to be in this space, Spirit Island is one of those games that everyone has told me I at least have to try. And so, this is going to be a conversation about that experience. I have played Spirit Island 3 times so far this year. 1 recorded gameplay that'll be coming to the channel soon, 1 time solo, and 1 other time 2-player. And this series, in case you're curious, this series is all about the first impressions, your first experience with a board game. It's called Played It Once for a reason. You see, I know I can't do a thorough and accurate review knowing all the mechanics and breakdowns of Spirit Island, but first impressions matter, and so I decided to make a show about mine. Along with that, if you are Spirit Island fans out there, if there's a community out there that loves this title, which I am sure there is, let me know what other type of content you'd like me to make over the course of the next few months. I would love to dive in and do strategy guides or in-depth kind of gameplay videos, some solo sessions. You let me know what you'd like to see and we'll make it happen here on the channel. And if you're brand new to Quackalope, hit that subscribe button down below. We do board game media content nearly every single day of the week. And we're doing more and more stuff from the top of a mountain that you have to hike up to, and glass that you have to, or ice, I suppose, that you have to potentially slip down in order to get to a position like this. So, Spirit Island. Let's go over a brief overview of the game for those of you that are not familiar. I remember in the Terraforming Mars video, there are some people that said most of the video was the discussion about the how to play the game. So that won't be the case here in this video. I'm playing around with this format, seeing what you all enjoy and like the most. But Spirit Island as a core principle, starting with thematics. This is going to be a twist on the typical kind of colonization trope that happens throughout a series of board games, where, invaders come in, cover the land, whether they are historical or fictional, they still move into a place that is occupied by another demographic or another group of people or aliens or a community of woodland creatures, and you slowly take resources, utilize the world that you've moved into, this inhabited space. Spirit Island thought that trope was maybe not the thing that they wanted to focus on, and they wanted to flip it on its head. Here you're playing as spirits, a series of not gods, but powerful beings that can move across this small island and help the Dahan, which are going to be the native tribes there that have come to peaceful terms with the spirits, that help the Dahan protect and keep the island in a state of peace. You see, there's been a negotiation that has happened in ages past between the Dahan and between the spirits themselves. They've had their own conflict and struggles, but now the invaders that are coming onto the shores have decided to not listen. They've decided to envelop and start stripping and utilizing the rich soil and the rich resources of that island. And you, as these spirits, are doing what you can to aid the Dahan and to protect your sacred space. The story is not entirely about the Dahan, actually. The story, as you're reading through the lore and flavor text, has a lot more to do about the spirits that occupy this island. The spirits that want this location to remain whole and welcoming and a place where they can thrive and exist, right? And so that's the thematic narrative of the game. When it comes to the actual gameplay, this is going to be primarily a card and slight bit of resource-driven game. You're going to have a map in front of you that's going to have a lot of different regional tiles, whether they're next to the coastline, they're deserts, forests, mountains, the same things that you'd find across sort of a topography map. On these different regions, you're going to have indicators of who is there. Little pieces or tokens that you place down that represent the invaders and how much power they have. The Dahan by little mushroom cap wooden pieces, and your own spirit's influences spreading the land. You're also going to have blight. Blight is the corruption that happens when you don't live in harmony with the island itself or the spirits that occupy it. Blight is the recognition or the designation of things going wrong. It is one of the ways that you can lose this game. Throughout your turn, this is going to be a cooperative game that has turns that happen almost simultaneously. So throughout your turn, you're going to be drawing up your spirit cards, looking at your hand, and deciding what you want to play. Taking an action to spread your influence, increase your power, or equip yourself for future rounds. You'll gain energy, you'll then play cards, you'll take the actions on those cards, either moving fast or slow. Now that's going to be key because the invaders are going to move in the middle of that sequence. So some of these spirits are able to move very quickly. They're able to react and respond and position and lend aid as fast as possible, like an inferno blazing across the island, right? Some of them, like I forget the name specifically, they have really, really immaculate names, but some of them, like the giant stone golem, move slowly primarily, taking his time but always being very diligent and purposeful and affecting change across the length of the game and not in one fell moment. So, on your turn, you're going to play your cards, resolving fast or slow. All of your fast cards are going to activate. All of your slow cards are going to wait for the invaders to resolve their action. They're going to spread across the island. They're going to build new defenses or equip their power, grow their ranks, and then they're going to attack, either damaging the Dahan or spreading blight across the land, which potentially will also take out your influence or your presence there in that region. The object of your game is to create enough destruction, cause enough fear, insert yourself in this battle to the point where the invaders leave the island. You're doing your best to protect the space that is yours and protect the Dahan along the way. The invaders just need to either outlast you, out-equip you, they need to destroy. I believe if they destroy all the Dahan, you also lose. If they blight all the island, you also lose. This is a complicated game that has a variety of ways that it also scales. You see, blight mechanics could be scaled in a different way. Fear mechanics could be scaled in a different way. The impact of the invaders that you're fighting can change and adjust as well. You could be fighting the British or you could be fighting Europe, and as they invade, their own mechanics and rules will shift and adjust. So the opportunity to adapt your play style, increase the difficulty of this game, and explore the variability in it, the asymmetric powers of all your spirits and all of the different opponents you have, makes this one that multiplayer and solo players love. This is a really, really rich and intriguing puzzle. So, let's get to my first impressions of this game. Let's get to my thoughts currently where they stand, because I'm going to be honest, my thoughts are mixed. I am not entirely convinced that I love this game. I'm also not entirely convinced that I don't love this game. I have played it 3 times, like I said. The first time I played it 2 players, and I think the light's getting a little bright, so let me go ahead and adjust this up just a bit. The first time I played it 2 players, and I was taught how to play the game. The second time I played it 2 players, and I taught how to play the game. I played it on a complicated mode the first time, easy mode the second time, and then I played it once solo. I lost both games where I was in charge, where I was not an experienced player, and I was playing with someone who also was not an experienced player. When I played with a friend who was able to teach me the game and leverage their experience, we did a lot better. I had a lot more control, but I mostly worked as an ally or an aid in the experience. I was kind of watching things unveil and trying to solve the puzzle. So let's go ahead and start off with what I'm not convinced of about Spirit Island, because there's a few things that I'm still concerned about when it comes to whether or not this fits into my personal game collection. Spirit Island is more of a puzzle than it is thematic. Now, I do love the namesakes, I do love the visuals on the cards, the way that it describes the actions you're taking, but I find that I have to seek out that thematic tie as I'm playing the game, as I'm placing down tokens, removing figures, just slowly shifting and maneuvering this board. I have to imagine what's happening way more than the game ever informs or tells me. In fact, I could probably skip over almost all of the thematic elements and just focus on the puzzle of this game, and it would still stand entirely strong on the puzzle mechanics alone. But as someone who loves story, loves narrative, loves thematics, I don't know if that quite fits my playstyle. I'm not drawn into the story of this game. As much as I'd like to explore the spirits and see how they evolve and become who they are, I'm still not entirely convinced that the narrative tropes in the base game are enough to bring me back just for the story alone. Mechanically, though, this is a fascinating and really, really interesting and difficult puzzle. The way that you're maneuvering pieces across the board, the way you're trying to counter and predict and just hold back the tide, the scale in this game either slowly and very quickly gets out of hand, or you're able to manage it and you find that victory comes just at the briefest of times, right before you would have lost. That's one of the things that I enjoy about the game, but I'm actually intimidated about as well. You see, this is a in-depth mechanics puzzle, a game that will reward you for playing it 20, 30, 40 times, always changing up, always taking a new approach or a new look at the game. But I did find that in my solo play and in my other two-player play, some of this spirit, some of the gods, they don't operate as effectively, or at least I couldn't get them to operate as effectively when I was first experiencing this game. It left me feeling intimidated to continue trying it. It left me feeling like the scale of difficulty and the degree to which you are perfecting and min-maxing your turn was really something that maybe I don't enjoy as much. But I think the puzzle is really fascinating, and don't get me wrong, I still want to play this solo. I still want to dive back in. I want to test out the other spirits. I want to see what feels good on the board. But the mechanics of the game, while they are heavy and crunchy, are also a degree intimidating. They're not hard to learn, but they sure are hard to play and balance and operate. And this game can get out of hand really, really quickly from what I've seen. I've had moments where I thought I was doing well, and then in a single card flip or two, without the ability to play certain spirit powers from my hand, I've watched the entire board descend into chaos. I've watched, what I'd struggled to accomplish ripped from my hands, and I'm sitting there staring at a loss, or staring at something that just left me with very little hope of continuing. Now, what do I like about this game? Well, I like the spirits a lot. They all feel intricate and unique. Their own very, very small base deck of cards feels accurate to the type of spirit you're playing and the way they move and maneuver around the board. I like the time mechanic. I like the slow and fast actions. I like the pace the game sets, always revolving around the situation. I also really like this as a cooperative game. It doesn't allow other players to hold your hand, but it rewards you for thinking about and working with other players in a tactical and really, really rewarding way. You can build a character that is a effective support character, or a character that can wipe across the board and do a lot of damage, or you can all work as a team, peppering one location with defense and just enough damage and just enough attack and just enough maneuverability that you're controlling the flow of the invaders until you're finally powerful enough to do some real damage. That's the interesting thing about this game. Spirit Island, in my book, scales in a way that very few other games have learned or been able to accomplish. You see, Spirit Island allows you to grow in power in connection with or correlation with the other invaders on the board. As they get bigger and more powerful, you learn and adapt, and if you've played the game well or right, you also get bigger and more powerful. It's one of the most rewarding elements of this game. The way you scale, the feeling when you do something magnificent really, really feels good. It feels like you just pulled together the perfect card play, built your character, built your spirit in the right sequence of events, and at the right time, and you were there to attack or defend or just switch the balance of the war. This feels like a tactical war game. Like a puzzle, like a chess that you're solving on the board with moving parts and abilities and moving negotiations between everyone that's playing. I really like this as a cooperative experience. I think I like this as a cooperative experience more than I like it as a solo puzzle. because those rewarding moments get to be shared by the table. Those puzzly elements get to be talked through and negotiated as a table. And yet the game still remains in my hand. The play that I'm making with my spirit still is my play at the end of the day. I really like Spirit Island. I'm not convinced that it is the right game for me yet. I'm not convinced it's staying in my collection forever. I definitely will be bringing some gameplay to the channel, and I really am excited to dive into some other videos here, whether those are Spirit strategy guides or, 10 things most people get wrong in Spirit Island. I'm not entirely sure. Let me know your ideas, the community that enjoys this game, that is curious about my thoughts on it. I'd love to do some high production videos that dive into one of your all's favorite titles. Especially as I spend more time exploring and enveloping myself in this game. And at some point, I'll have a full review down the road, once I've had a chance to play this 10, 15 times, where I sit down and let you know if Spirit Island is in fact a game that I'm holding on to. Because right now, I'm not entirely sure. It's sort of in that middle ground. I'm intrigued by it. I'm fascinated by the design choices. I am challenged by the puzzle it's presenting. But I don't entirely know if all of that combined makes a game that I will get to the table a lot. And maybe after 10 or 15 plays, I will have felt like I have explored the mechanics enough, and I won't be as interested in getting it back out. Whatever the case, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know if you enjoy these more conversational, played-at-once style videos. Remember to hit that subscribe button down below, and whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.